stuff everywhere. Okay, so start off with an egg-shaped piece of clay. And I don't know if I need all of that. I probably don't. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. I probably don't. There. And remember, when you're making an egg, pat it. You want to hit it so all those little, there might be little areas that are not quite squished together. When you hit it, they get squished together. I like to cup my ham, keep it cupped so I can keep it round. That's a big guy. That's a big egg, huh? Let's do a little bit. We're making eyeballs, so they don't need to be quite as big as your nose. Egg shape, fat at the bottom, skinnier at top. Good enough. Now smooth this out. Now, if I go off screen, you guys got to tell me, all right? Because I can't look at two places at once. I can see my screen, but it's off to the right on my laptop, and I don't have another set of eyes. This is going to be my top, so I want to make sure it's nice and smooth. Here's the bottom. It doesn't have to be as smooth. I'm going to flatten it anyway. You're going to flatten the bottom. Good enough. Okay, you can flatten it like that. Now, the problem with that is you could end up flattening it more than you want if you go like that, but it still makes it flat. So you could find yourself a spoon and spank it. Take that, you silly piece of clay. Okay, you can do that. And you can use a ruler, but the problem with spanking it with a ruler is it could, see, it leaves lines. Oh, well, it leaves lines. But see how nice and flat that makes it? Right. And when you do that, it makes it stick out even more. Now, you could make your eyeball go like that if you want. This could be the top and that could be the bottom. You know, I think I'll do that on this one. I'll make a set like that because my other ones, I made two that went like this. I'm going to make two that look like that. All right, so if you look at the picture, let's move this over a bit so you can see the eyeball. He's got an eyelid, or she's got, I don't know why I keep calling it he. She's got an eyelid. So now you need to make a slab. And again, pinch your pieces of clay together that you're using. Whatever you're not using, keep covered because it dries up. Remember, I like having a wet spot. Find something round to make a slab. So I'm using this vitamin bottle. You can also use your squirt bottle. That's what all you got laying around. Make sure you have at least one dog hair in your clay. You can also use this if you have one of these. Probably don't. Okay. Smooth out both sides. When you do that, it gets rid of cracks and all that stuff you don't want. You want it to go over the top of your eye. Is that too far down? Yeah, you can't even see it. Ooh, is that better? Probably. Remember the last one I had you make a little arch? I'm not going to have you do that because this thing is really sticking out, so I don't think we need to do it. So what I'm going to do is put this here and make it a little bit, cut it bigger around. So first I'm going to cut this straight, get rid of that goober. Put that about there and cut that shape out. If it's a little short, you can always stretch it. So I'm going to put it, remember it's an eyelid, so I want to put it right about there because I want to have the eyeball. Is that sticking up a little bit more? I think I need to move it up a teeny bit. That looks good enough. Okay, now score. Can't say it enough. And remember, I have a couple of different tools I like to use for scoring. Good old plastic fork is pretty good. Make sure you go a couple different directions. The toothbrush can get some of that slip up, but it doesn't score. It's just a way to get some slip on there. In the past, I've even used combs to score with. You can break them and make them small if you want. The more you work in clay, the more little gadgets you end up with. That's for sure. Okay, I don't think that's far down far enough. I need to go a little further. Looks like a chia pet, doesn't it? Okay, so now I'm going to go like this. We could make chia pets. Or you can go to the dollar store and buy one for $1. Okay, I'm going to push using my damp sponge. I'm draping this over the edge. Can you see that? I'm going like that. And what I'm doing is making a nice clean join. No goobers. You don't want to see a line there. You want to see continuous shape. It does need to stick out, see, because it's the eyelid. Now I'm going to get my hands and push it over the top of the eyeball and kind of cup my hand. See all this excess clay I have here? That's nice because then I don't have to worry about stretching it. Now it's kind of short here, so I'm going to stretch that end a little bit. And then I'm going to push that back. Oh, that looks weird. I'm going to forget it. I'm taking this off. I don't like the way that looked. And no big deal. I'm just going to trim it. Oh, that might be too much. That's okay because it stretches. Do that again. You don't want to look like it's wearing a hat. Okay, that's what I want. Look like it was wearing a hat. I want it to be straight across, not drooping down. That's better. And now I don't have so much excess to have to cut off anyway. Not that that matters really, but just saying. So I want to go straight across like that. Let's bring it down. Okay, go back and do this. So you can put the eyelid on the narrow side or on the fat side. And the last 2 eyeballs I made, I put it on the skinny side. And I'm just seeing how it looks on the fat side. You can decide which side you want to do it on, the top or the bottom, the fat end or the skinny end. Okay, so that joint is really good. And I'm pushing down on this to smooth, but you know, in a way I kind of like the cracks that are happening there. You know, I'm smoothing it down so it sticks good. Now I got to look at the back. So what I'm going to do here is use my finger and really push down with my thumb and my finger, and then use my pin tool to trim off some of that excess clay that's right there. I don't need it. I'm just going to smooth it down. Next week, I'm going to talk about hollowing out the back. Right now, you're just going to work solid. And then we're going to hollow the back out. Okay, that's good. And see, this is what I'm talking about. See how it's drooping there? I don't want it to droop. I want it to go straight across. And then I'm wanting to droop. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm just obsessing about something I don't need to obsess about. We'll see. Okay. There's my eyelid. Ta-da! Okay, so now what you're going to make is this thing on top. There's a band, a little band that goes on top of each eye. You're not going to draw it. You're not going to add clay. You're going to sculpt. Now, I want to bring some of this clay down because I think it's a little too far up. So you can do, first of all, I'm going to push this down with my thumb. I want to scoot it down a little bit. And see that ridge I'm making? That's kind of like what's there right now, but we're going to make it more pronounced. So this is called sculpting. When you are using the tip of your pin tool and just going like this, that's called drawing or incising. And actually you can draw with a pencil too, but you're making a ditch, a 3-dimensional ditch that's incising. And I always tell kids over and over, clay is not expensive paper. You got to sculpt. Okay, so I'm going to use And this can work on the round side or on the straight side of your rib. Either one works. See, I'm using the straight side, now I'm using the round side. And what I'm doing is bringing out that edge. And then I'm going to smooth this part out. So it looks like I added a piece of clay. And I went like this. And I like, when you work in clay long enough, you have your preferences. I prefer to work with a rounded end when I'm making a straight line. I don't know why. Because I guess because it's a rounded shape. Whatever, that's what I like. Okay, now look at the top of that thing. It's got some lines. So I'm going to use my modeling tool. This is your rib. This is your modeling tool. All of you got one. They're all a bunch of different shapes. And I'm going to, but I'm going to use my rib maybe. I want to make some thick lines. And if you look, they're going in different directions. And I want to make some thin lines too, but make these go in different directions. So you can use that tool. You can use your modeling tool. And then what I also want to do is get some thinner ones. I want some variety in there. So make sure this is clean. And I'm going to echo some of those shapes. I'm going to add some additional lines. And I want them to be a little thinner, not as deep. You really don't see the difference, I guess. I can. Okay, so there's the top. It's almost like a giant acorn, huh? Here's the bottom. Now the eyeball, this part. I would recommend you don't draw that on until you get the second one made, because you can decide how you want, which way you want it to look. Do you want it looking in that direction? Do you want it looking in that direction? Do these match? No. So when you make an egg shape, make a second one. Once you make the shape you like, make a second one right away. So they're about the same size. It's not super important that they be exactly the same size. But they should be close, I suppose. This eyeball is really big. This is a honking big eyeball. Okay, so let's talk about putting the eye in there. Now, when you're getting your pencil and going like this is called incising. Look at all the goobers that are on there. Goober City, right? When the clay is really soft, it makes lots of goobers. How do you draw in soft clay without making goobers? You got to lay your drawing implement down like this. You lay it down. But it's hard to get a nice round shape. So do I make a smaller dot in here, like right there? Should I do that? Or should I do this? Or should I do both? Those are my decisions to make, I guess, later. I'm not going to, look how goobery that is. So we'll see. I want it to be more like the one that you see on the picture. So I need to get rid of this. I'm using my finger. It's not working really well. I like to get a little water on my modeling tool and just push a little more gently and scrape those two together. Modeling tools are wonderful. If you have a coupon to Michael's, I want to spend, you can go spend about $5 and get a nice little package of them. Look in the cake decorating aisle as well as the craft aisle. I haven't been to Michael's in a year. But a lot of the cake decorating tools are designed from, even this right here. That's my dog snoring in the background. This kind of makes a big line, but anyway, I'm always looking for stuff. Okay. Now let's talk about lichen. It's the barky kind of green stuff you see there. Lichen is, people mistakenly call it moss. It's not moss. It's a different species of plant. Apparently, it's one of those things that if the forest is unhealthy, the lichen is the first thing to tell you. Bark. Remember I told you if you wanted to make something look like bark, you get some bark and it makes some bark. There you go. So let's say I want to put that on there. I'm just not going to go like that. I'm going to, oh, I like that shape, but it's kind of thick. So I'm going to get my, where's the steak knife I've been using? Put that away. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. By the way, if you have a modeling tool that looks like this, the end of that is used as a means to score as well. Oh, I don't see my modeling. I have a steak knife somewhere on this table of mine. Oh, here it is. I like using, well, there's these things called fettling knives that are designed to cut thin pieces of clay for ceramics. I didn't give you those because they're about $5 a piece. Anyway, so I'm going to slice a thin slice off of here. I want to make this thinner. And it's kind of a pain to do it that way. So I prefer doing it this way. I prefer getting some slip, and it's a small area. I like to score with my pin tool. And I'm going to, whoops, he just jumped out of my hand. Luckily, where I'm going to work is the part that got flattened out. Every year, some kid drops their project, and it's so funny because it makes this very distinctive sound. It makes a little like that when it drops. There's usually air in it. And then you start laughing your butt off because it's pretty funny. And then you start again. I always tell kids, walk around with your project with two hands, or you're going to cry when it falls on the ground. So there's some bark. Now it's a little too rough, so I'm going to smooth it out a teeny bit. So he's got some bark on there. Let's put some lichen on top of the bark. Now, what I don't understand is why the English language can't come up with a different word for the stuff that grows on trees versus the sound that comes out of a dog's mouth. Why can't we come up with a different word? The lichen is going to have a slightly different texture, and I'm going to put it up into the top of the eye a little bit. If you look, that's kind of like what happened there. And then I'm going to carry out that design a little bit into the edge there. So there you go, there's that edge. And I want to put a little bit more here. And think of the rule of threes. You don't want to just, and you don't want it to be symmetrical. Don't make things symmetrical, and don't just put 2 on there. Either put 3, 5, 7, 1. 1's kind of odd. 1 doesn't really work. But I'm rambling, sorry. There's that. And I'm going to leave this smooth a little bit, and I want to put a little bit more right here. And see how I'm pinching this? I don't want it to be perfectly round or smooth and symmetrical. I want it to be organic and kind of alive, right? And just a little bit. I think I need a little bit more here too. So see how that's sticking up? I'm going to use that, and I like that little subtle line that is made when I squish it down. There you go. Now, do I still want that circle right there? I don't know. Anyway, that's the other eye and how to do it. Any questions?